What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Underdog Podcast. I know this video is coming out a little bit later than I wanted to, but I went skiing on Sunday, and then yesterday the website that I do the graphics for was down. It wasn't working, so it's coming out on Tuesday, unfortunately. So I have this video today, and I'm working on something for later this week. Don't know what that's going to be yet, but excited to drop the conclusion to my mock draft 2.0. So let's get right into this. So we start at pick 21 with my favorite team, the New England Patriots. There's a bunch of guys on the board that I think I can still take at both receiver, at corner, and linebacker as well. But I have them going Jameson Williams here from Alabama. I think healthy, he probably would have been my wide receiver one, but obviously towards ACL in that national championship game. He's got really special speed, great deep threat, really good route runner, good hands. I think Jameson Williams, had he not gotten hurt, Alabama would have won that national championship game because he was the best player on the field. I think for New England, they haven't really added anybody in free agency in terms of wide receiver. They've looked into some guys, but they haven't signed anybody yet. So I'm thinking they're waiting until the draft, and I think Jameson Williams would be, a great fit as he's got rapport with Mac Jones as well, with that Alabama connection. So I think this is just a really good move from the New England Patriots here to snab Jameson Williams at 21. Then we have the Green Bay Packers at 22, and I have them taking the best impact receiver from day one off the board here in Chris Olave. I think it just makes a lot of sense for Green Bay. I mean, you don't have a receiver on your roster, really. That's like a true number one. And I don't think Olave is necessarily a true number one, but he can come in there, get open for Aaron Rodgers, which I think they have lacked that true route runner outside of Devontae Adams for that second option to truly get open. So I think Olave can fill that really quick. Olave's got really good speed, so you can provide that deep threat, kind of play that MVS role as well. So I really like this pick for Green Bay. And I think a lot of people, are kind of slighting both Olave and Jahan Dotson for their size. But I think it's not really going to matter with Olave a whole lot because he's just going to burn dudes off the line of scrimmage with that speed and with his route running. So Olave here, the Green Bay Packers 22 at 23 for the Arizona Cardinals. They let Christian Kirk walk out that door, so you're really missing that wide receiver too. You also need upgrades to offensive line and a potentially defensive back. I went with Jahan Dotson here. I just felt like he was the best fit for this team as kind of that outside receiver. He's got good speed, good route runner, really solid hands. I thought he fit best with what Cliff Kingsbury is trying to do, is just put a track team out there, kind of like what Kansas City does. I just think he's a little bit more polished than, say, a Christian Watson, and I felt like it was good value here to take Jahan Dotson at 23. I also thought about Linderbaum, but they do still have Rodney Hudson, and I thought about Kenyon Green, but he's a little bit taller, which actually hurts Kyler Murray. If it was Zion Johnson, I think that would be the pick here, but that's the reasoning behind the Jahan Dotson pick. Then we go to Dallas. It's the same pick as last time. It's Devontae Wyatt. I thought about tackle, thought about Trevor Penning, but I think Dallas really needs that guy. They've been throwing darts at this position for a while. They've been throwing at Tristan Hill. They've been throwing at Neville Gallimore, and really haven't gotten that piece in the middle there. And I think Devontae Wyatt, he's older, 24. He's pretty polished, a really good run defender, and can rush to the passer, so he has versatility there on the inside. And I think fits the scheme really well for Dan Quinn. And he can be a bigger edge if need be as well. Georgia moved these guys around a lot, especially Devontae Wyatt and Travon Walker. And Devontae Wyatt was a really versatile piece in that Georgia defense, and I think can be utilized properly by Dan Quinn, who's used Micah Parsons properly. He probably can figure out how to use Devontae Wyatt properly. Then we have the Buffalo Bills at 25. So I really thought about taking a running back here, just because Buffalo, they're a passing offense mainly, but they have really lacked that like power bruiser type like running back to like close teams out, especially in that Buffalo cold that they have up there in Orchard Park. But I looked at this team further, and I think their biggest need is defensive back. And Andrew Booth Jr. is sitting there on the board, and that is the pick. Very long, physical corner. Doesn't have the deep speed like a Stingley Jr. or Sauce Gardner, but he is very, very good technique-wise. Very good press man corner. And also going to be able to play some zone as well. Going to be plugged right in at CB2 next to Tre'Davious White. And I think he's an upgrade over Levi Wallace, to be honest. I was not a big Levi Wallace guy. So I think this is an immediate upgrade, immediate impact player for this team. He didn't work out of the combine. I think he was dealing with a quad pull or a hamstring pull. But looked pretty good at his pro day. So I like Andrew Booth Jr. I think he's one of the more slept-on players in this class. So really, really like this fit with Buffalo here is that second man corner that they need. And then we have pick 26, which is the Tennessee Titans. I still have them going George Pickens even after they acquired Robert Woods. I think he's just a perfect scheme fit, honestly. I mean, he could be, a true number one. He's got the upside for it, and next to A.J. Brown, I mean, that could certainly happen. And I think Pickens, he's a bigger body guy, but also is a better route runner than people would like to think. And he's got good speed for somebody that big. And I think he fits right in with this Tennessee play-action Shanahan-style offense, where he can get open on those crossing routes, on those dig routes, and be – I don't want to say an upgrade to Julio Jones, but, be comparable to what Julio was last year for the Titans. And we don't have a lot of tape on him in 2021 because he did tear his ACL in spring workouts. But when he came back, man, he was making plays. I mean, against Cincinnati, against Michigan, against Alabama, he was really like showing up on tape when he was on the field. And I am a fan of George Pickens. He does have a first round grade for me. A lot of people are like first to a second on him, but I really think George Pickens is a true first round wide receiver, and that's why the pick is here. Then we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think I went Carson Strong here last time, and that was because Brady was retired. So Brady's back, and I can't see him retiring again after this year, after he's like the competitive edge, and I want to come back. So you look to their other needs, and Jordan Whitehead walked in free agency, so safety was a need. I think corner's a need because you just paid Carlton Davis, but you can't pay both Jamel Dean and Sean Murphy-Bunting, and then you're going to also have to pay Antoine Winfield Jr. So I think one of those three guys is going to have to walk. And you need strong safety, but you also need depth at corner. And this is a guy that did both in college. So I have them going Dax Hill from Michigan. Dax Hill played both slot corner and strong safety at Michigan. And he can come in and be your starting strong safety and then maybe be your nickel or dime corner for this team. I really like Dax Hill. I think he's another very underrated player in this class. A lot of people are lower on him. But Dax Hill just does so many things so well. He's incredibly fast. He's really good against the run for a smaller guy. He can play almost anywhere on the field. He can play in the box. He could potentially play that true free safety role. He's not going to play that here, obviously, with Antoine Winfield Jr., but he could potentially play that because I think he has that kind of range. He can play slot corner. He can play strong safety. He could potentially play like a dime linebacker role. I really like Dax Hill as kind of that like chess piece for Todd Bowles in this defense. I think he fits really well. Can play both man and zone. And just, he's just such a fun player to watch out of Michigan. And I think, he was kind of getting some buzz, then it kind of cooled off. And it's kind of like, I think people are kind of torn between them. Some people really like Dax Hill, some people don't. I'm one of the ones that is a big fan of Dax Hill, and I think for Tampa Bay, this would be an absolute home run pick. So the pick at 28 is Dax Hill. Then we go to at 27, sorry. Then we go to pick 28 now, which is the Green Bay Packers up again. This is their original pick. The first pick was from the Devontae Adams trade. So you look at the needs. We did address receiver with Olave. You could look to go back at receiver. And I thought about that. I thought about like a Christian Watson. I thought about some of those other guys. But I actually went O-line here. They're losing a lot of pieces on the O-line. Billy Turner just walked out the door. They let somebody else go too. I can't remember his name. But they were really like playing a lot of depth pieces last year at offensive line just because they were hurt. And David Bakhtiari didn't come back to the playoffs. So I think you need somebody who's tough, gritty, kind of has like, that Green Bay, like, blue collar toughness. And that's Trevor Penning out of Northern Iowa. This dude, he's a mauler, and he does not care who is across from him. He's going to like beat them into the ground. He is a little bit undisciplined and was penalty prone last year, but I really like the fit here in Green Bay. He's going to help them out immediately in the run blocking game. Clearing holes for Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. His pass protection needs some work, but I don't think it's terrible. His hand speed is pretty good. It's just I think it's his footwork that needs to work, and David Bakhtiari is a great mentor for that. He's probably the best pass blocking tackle in the league. So I really, really like this move from Green Bay. It addresses a need big time, and you're adding youth to that tackle room. They've added to their offensive line room over the last couple of years with picks, but they haven't been good prospects, to say the least. Like taking Josh Myers over Creed Humphrey, taking Bryce Newman in the 3rd or 4th round when he was like an undrafted 7th round caliber player. Trevor Penning is like borderline 1st round for me, depending on where he goes, and I think this is a great fit here in Green Bay. Then we have pick 29, the Kansas City Chiefs. This is going to be a receiver, and it's going to be Christian Watson. Dude's an absolute, he just flies down the field. I mean, it's just ridiculous. They did bring in MVS, but I think this is another move that would make sense, especially since they're just putting out a track team there, in Kansas City, and Watson's kind of that long, lengthy, similar to Marquez Valdez-Scantling type. I think it would be an excellent fit here in Kansas City's offense. And I think he's going to need a lot of work. He's not a very polished route runner. I think that he can kind of be like a gadget type player for them, like manufactured touches, like 3-4 game, on like jet sweeps, jet touch passes, and then go balls and deep crossers. But he does have a long way to go to being like a wide receiver 2 or 1. He really needs to work on his route running. That's really the big thing. He does have good hands, better than MVS for sure. But definitely needs to work on that route running and his release. And I think he needs to bulk up a little bit. He's just really, he's not weak, but he's just skinny. So if he bulks up a little bit, I certainly can see him being, a very productive player in this Chiefs offense. And then the Chiefs have back-to-back picks. And their other big need is corner. They let Charvarius Ward out the door. So I'm going with a guy who really was hyped up to being like a top 10 player for this class last season and kind of didn't really have as good of a season this year and, kind of fell off the end last year. And that's Kyer Elam out of Florida. I really like Kyer Elam. He's really long, really physical, similar to Andrew Booth, a little bit better athlete than Andrew Booth is. And he's just like, he reminds me of CJ Henderson coming out, who was his teammate at Florida. I think he's, potentially, has, CJ Henderson hasn't really worked out at this point, but he has higher upside than CJ Henderson, in my opinion. He's just a really long, lengthy dude, can play press, can play zone. I think I like him better in a man scheme, but Kyrie Elam's a phenomenal athlete, man. And I really like him here for Kansas City, probably stepping in potentially as their corner one, so he's going to play right away and be an impact player immediately for the Chiefs. Cincinnati Bengals here now at 31. And this, if you're Cincinnati, you sprint up to the podium to get this card. It's Tyler Linderbaum from Iowa. Best center in this class, best interior offensive lineman in this class. So they already, reworked their entire offensive line. The only starter from last season is going to be Jonah Williams. You brought in Lyle Collins at right tackle. You brought in Ted Karras and Alex Kappa at guard. So then you just really need a center. I mean, Ted Karras can play center, but you bring in Tyler Linderbaum here, and this is probably a top 5 offensive line in the league. And then you have Jackson Carman as your swing guy. So that's really good depth there from the Cincinnati Bengals. Linderbaum's fallen a little bit just due to, I think people are, it's like a size thing with him because he's a little bit smaller, but I really like him for the Shanahan scheme to get out there on those pulls and be able to block those guys out on the edge and really move well in this Shanahan offense. And then we have the Detroit Lions. I thought about, a bunch of positions here. I thought about linebacker. I thought about attacking edge again. I thought about receiver as well. But this is a unique pick for the Lions because you take a quarterback here, you get the 5th-year option for him. And I think this guy really fits the Detroit mindset of, biting kneecaps and being an underdog. And that's Desmond Ritter. From the standpoint of he was at Cincinnati, they were highly doubted, and then they proved that you could, as a group of 5 team, make the playoff. And obviously he didn't, have the best game in the playoff, but I think that shows something from Desmond Ritter. He went into Notre Dame, beat them, great poise. I don't think he has to play right away, which is the luxury of this pick for Detroit. I don't think he has to play right away. He can learn under Jared Goff for a year, and then when you are ready, when you're ready to play him, you can. So, maybe when you're, eliminated from the playoffs, I don't think Detroit's going to be a playoff team next year. When you're eliminated from the playoffs, or maybe those last, 2 or 3 games of the season, say, Jared, we're not making the playoffs. We'll go play Desmond Ritter and see what he's got. And I really think that he's probably the most underrated quarterback prospect right now. I actually really liked his fit in Carolina, but I just couldn't take him at 6. I didn't think the value was there. I took Corral because I do think the value is there. But I really think that Ritter can be a Derek Carr in this league. That was my comp for him. He does play with that poise. He does have that chip on his shoulder. I think he's going to be an incredible leader in this league. I really like the things that I've heard about him. I think he's got, a little bit issue, with his mechanics. He kind of has a notch in his throwing mechanics, and then his accuracy is sporadic sometimes, but he does have a good arm. He's very athletic, and he can extend plays and create plays, and he will be involved in your run game as well as a quarterback. So I think that is a phenomenal pick here from Detroit at 32. So that is my conclusion to my mock draft 2.0. My mock draft 3.0 will be releasing in a couple weeks, and then I will have my 4.0 right before on draft week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It'll come out. So I'm really excited for that. Just can't wait for the draft, man. It's going to be so exciting. I don't know what I'm going to do later this week, but I am, working on thinking about ideas for videos. So if you have an idea for me and want me to do it, let me know in the comment section. But thanks for watching, everybody, and have a great day, and peace.